Renewable energy subsidies have been a topic of heated debate in recent times. Proponents argue that these subsidies are crucial for fostering the growth of renewable energy sources and addressing climate change. They believe that the government should support renewable energy through financial incentives to encourage its adoption and development. However, there is also a vocal opposition to these subsidies, claiming that they are ineffective, inefficient, and a burden on taxpayers. In this debate, we will examine the arguments from both sides and explore the complexities surrounding renewable energy subsidies. Proponents of renewable energy subsidies argue that they are necessary to accelerate the transition from fossil fuels to clean energy sources. They contend that renewable energy is crucial in mitigating climate change and reducing the carbon footprint. Subsidies, they argue, help overcome the initial high costs of renewable energy technologies, making them more affordable and accessible to consumers. In addition, these subsidies can drive innovation and research, leading to advancements in renewable energy systems. Moreover, proponents claim that renewable energy subsidies can create jobs and stimulate economic growth as the renewable energy sector expands. Opponents of renewable energy subsidies have a different perspective. They argue that government intervention distorts the free market and inhibits competition. According to this view, renewable energy technologies should be able to stand on their own without relying on government assistance. Opponents also raise concerns about the cost-effectiveness of subsidies, highlighting that they can result in a misallocation of resources. They claim that subsidizing renewable energy places an excessive burden on taxpayers and the economy. Instead, opponents advocate for market-driven solutions, where renewable energy competes based on its own merits and market demand. Another argument against renewable energy subsidies is the potential for corruption and favoritism. Critics contend that these subsidies can be manipulated by vested interests and lobbying groups, leading to an unfair distribution of resources. They fear that well-connected corporations or individuals may disproportionately benefit from these subsidies, while smaller players or emerging technologies are left at a disadvantage. Opponents of subsidies often point to instances where government funds have been misused or misappropriated, highlighting the need for transparency and accountability in subsidy programs. In response to these concerns, proponents argue that transparency and accountability measures can be put in place to minimize the risk of corruption. They advocate for stricter regulations, oversight, and reporting mechanisms to ensure that subsidies are allocated fairly and effectively. Proponents also assert that the long-term benefits of renewable energy, such as reduced emissions and improved environmental sustainability, outweigh the potential pitfalls associated with subsidies. They believe that the global urgency to address climate change justifies the deployment of subsidies as a necessary tool in the transition to a cleaner and greener future. However, critics argue that the effectiveness of renewable energy subsidies in achieving their intended goals is questionable. They question whether these subsidies actually result in a significant increase in renewable energy production or a substantial reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. While subsidies can provide short-term market incentives, opponents argue that they may not be the most cost-effective or efficient means of achieving long-term sustainability. They propose alternative approaches such as carbon pricing or investment in energy storage technologies, which they believe can drive renewable energy deployment without relying heavily on government subsidies. The debate over renewable energy subsidies is complex and multifaceted. It raises fundamental questions about the role of the government in shaping energy markets and addressing climate change. While proponents argue that subsidies are essential for overcoming barriers to the adoption of renewable energy, opponents advocate for market-driven solutions that question the cost-effectiveness of subsidies. Both sides recognize the importance of transitioning to cleaner energy sources, but differ in their approaches. Ultimately, finding a balance between government intervention and market forces will be crucial in maximizing the potential of renewable energy while ensuring a sustainable and prosperous future for all.